Good morning, students. So today you have 3 assignments. First hour, you during your 3-hour class yesterday got to do D and E already, so you just have F. They're each very short. They're just separated because they're focusing on different things. So just a couple of problems reviewing complex inheritance, incomplete dominance, codominance, etc. Some problems going over blood type inheritance, which is going to prepare us for a lab we're going to do, and some problems going over sex-linked traits, which is new, and I'm going to go over with you guys in just a minute. A lot of the resources that you can use to help you in addition to your notes and this video are in this Thursday quiz page, and so you can go look at, for example, sex-linked traits right here, blood type alleles from Amoeba Sisters right there, and that will, as well as up here in the textbook pages, there's more information all designed to help you on the assignments for today. So with those assignments, the complex inheritance 1 to D, you should be pretty set to go, just incomplete codominance. For the blood type one, I'm going to review blood type with you real quick, and then we're going to look at sex-linked traits. So blood typing right here, there's 4 blood types, A, B, and O. AB only has one genotype, which is allele A, allele B, which are codominant. Blood type O has one genotype, which is OO, often written with a lowercase I to signify that it's recessive to the others, or if you just do the letters OO. And then both A and B have 2 choices for genotype. Homozygous, where they have 2 of the same letter, IA, AA, IB, BB, those were considered homozygous for B and homozygous for A. Then heterozygous for A has an A allele and an O allele. Heterozygous for B has a B allele and an O allele. A Punnett square that shows offspring with every possible blood type is given here as an example. So you can write the genotypes either way when you do the blood typing practice, just the letters, or with the capital letters and the exponents and the lowercase letters to show dominant versus recessive versus codominant relationships. Quick side note with donation of blood, this shows just like the different blood cells have different shapes of antigens hanging off the outside of them, kind of like the coronavirus also does, and that our blood plasma has antibodies against the other blood cells. And so this is what determines who can donate blood to who, is basically, someone with type A blood, if you put that blood cell into somebody with type B blood, they're going to have anti-A antibodies in their blood, which are going to attack and clot with that A type of blood. So there's special rules for who can donate blood to who. Okay, so now we're going to look at sex-linked traits. Sex-linked traits have to do with which chromosomes genes are located on, specifically the sex chromosomes. So basically, males have one X chromosome, one Y chromosome. Females have 2 X chromosomes. And there's all sorts of different genes on the X chromosome. There's some specific, male reproductive genes on the Y chromosome. But what that means is that a male has 1 X and 1 Y. And so these genes over here on the left are all examples of recessive diseases that normally you would need 2 copies of a gene in order to have the disease. Because if you have 2 chromosomes, like chromosome 21 or 12 or whatever, if you have 1 recessive allele for the disease, but you have a normal allele on the other chromosome for that pair, you're not going to have the disease. But if it's on the sex chromosome and you're a female and you still have 2 X, you might still have the allele for the disease on one of your X chromosomes and a normal non-disease allele on the other X chromosome, and so you still could be fine. But if you're a male, you only have 1 X and 1 Y. And so just having 1 copy of the allele for that disease would give you the disease because you don't have a dominant version of that allele on the Y chromosome to kind of hide or mask that recessive disease allele. So things like hemophilia, colorblindness, they're found more often in males. And that has to do with the fact that they're on the X chromosome. And males are going to show any disease that they have an allele for on their X chromosome, even if they only have one copy, because they only have one X chromosome. So this is an example of just a Punnett square showing the female parent on top, the male parent on the side, and just showing their chances of having female versus male offspring. Now we're going to add the possibility of a sex-linked trait to this Punnett square. So that's what this is right here. This is an example of hemophilia. In this case, we have a mother, XX, who has one allele on one of her chromosomes for hemophilia, and a male who also has one allele for hemophilia. But the male in this case actually has the disease hemophilia. The female does not, because she still has a functional X chromosome that does not have the allele for the disease. It has the allele for normal blood hemoglobin. And so she's going to be fine. And what we see here is, this male is going to have the disease down here because he got this chromosome with this allele he got his X chromosome from his mom. This male doesn't. He got the other X chromosome from his mom. And because both the mother is a carrier and the father has the disease, that's the only scenario in which you can get a daughter that has the hemophilia, because she had to get the lowercase h both from mom and from her dad. So the only way for a female to get a sex-linked disease is if her father also has the disease, right? Because this father has the disease. He has one recessive allele on his X chromosome. The only way for this girl to get two X chromosomes with the allele is if her father's X chromosome had that disease allele. And then her mother also had to have at least one of them. So that's just a little different approach to a Punnett square with this idea of a sex-linked disorder. And the main difference that you need to know is that females are still, they're called a carrier if they have one, because they, unlike a non-sex-linked disorder, something like Molly, both of Molly's parents had to have her form of blindness in order to pass it on to her. Even though they were heterozygous, they both had to have that recessive allele. On the other hand, it's possible for, let's say that, this male father did not have the disease. He was just normal XY. This son can still have the disease even if his father doesn't have the allele, because he just gets the Y. The sons just get the Y from their father. Sons always get the X from the mom. So if the mom has one X with that small allele, they might still end up getting that from their mom and then have the disease, because they have no second copies of sex-linked genes. Okay, that's